Good morning, everyone, and here we are once again. I'm going to jump right in. Today I'm working on, well, first of all, this is a 3D CMS. It's designed to connect multiple gaming systems. It's designed to basically be 3D internet. And what we're doing is we're creating all the hooks and different places where you can use in plugins to be able to insert code into this 3D CMS hosting solution. The hosting solution itself has multiplayer and all kinds of cool functionality. It also makes it easy for people to maintain sites once they're built by coders, and um, it ends up being a pretty cool product overall. And it's kind of like WordPress is to traditional websites. Well, WalkTheWeb is to gaming solutions. So we're jumping right in. Today I'm working on some plugin functionality to be able to add admin menus to your plugins. That way you can create your own admin menu items, and we can cycle through and fix and load them up and unload them and do different things with them. So gonna jump right in on the code. Okay, and just a second, be right back. Okay, here I am. Let's do this thing. Okay, jumping right in. Okay, what do we have? Well, did this computer get unplugged? I got two computers. Oh, there it comes. Coming to life, coming to life. Got a computer off to the side, and it kind of helps me test some things real quick. And also, I can see comments. I can test the feed. I can do all kinds of fun stuff on that one. So I'm going to jump in here on the code in a second, but let me just log in this computer. There we go. Okay, and off we go. Okay, so this particular function, what it does is it lets you this is where it gets the menu items. So all I have to do is define this is the string that I want to put inside of a menu item, and when I do, I use this function over here to tell it create this name of this div and go ahead and create this menu item using that structure of whatever's inside that div. Now when it runs, when I call the item, right now I'm just telling it to do a console log, and here it is, just so I can see that the item is popping up and that it does do something. And from there, we're going to take it farther. So the menu item is in place. The menu, there's the menu. We add the item right there. We tell it which section of the menu to put it in. Give it a name of the particular click that you're doing, and then the name that you're going to display. And it has a breakdown of different pieces. This one, as long as you name it, I'm sorry, that's the name of the, so that's the name of the item. As long as you do the same name with just a div on the end, then it will automatically open this section and close everything else off when you do this. So it's built into my actual settings. To handle that, as long as you just keep the name consistent, it'll know which menu item div to do. If you need to do a menu item div. If you don't worry about it. You can call this anything you want so that you can refer to it in your code too. Okay, now the thing about it is when I created this, I started doing it and I actually created the wrong format. So when I click this, it's coming up this way, which is not the correct design. It needs to follow more of like this design. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to fix that and see if we can to get that to look better and run better. Okay, so let's back up here. It is community options, and there's our menu item. We're going to tell it, wait a minute, that was interesting. When I go 3D community, but when I go back, it went to landscape. That's not the right place. Okay, we'll worry about one thing at a time. you know, attack the bugs one at a time. You got a better chance. Okay, so when I click this, instead of opening that way, we want to open up one of the menu items that take this full section over here. And the first thing I'm going to do is, if we open up menus here, and each one of these divs are actually a menu item that works the way we want it to. Okay, so there's a couple things we have to fix. First of all, there's a function that closes them all, and it uses this name. We're going to make it use the class instead so that it closes everything that has that same class. And then we're going to make it open up what we want to the way we want to using this design. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a copy of one of these divs, bring it over here, because this is where I created a div that we were going to use and it was the wrong one. Next thing is the header's fine because we're going to name that section, but this part right here is specific to that particular item. Do we leave a cancel button in? No. Yeah, we can leave a cancel item in. No. Let's get rid of it. Okay. So with that in place, we're going to give as much room as we can for different things. And here we go. That's the design. We're going to do this here. I'm going to basically be setting this to look like this. Okay, we don't need that blank line at the moment. That blank line is actually going to be that line. So that's going to be right there. And just moving it over. And this goes here. Now at the end of each one of these lines we need end the quote and semicolon. Oops, that one doesn't need it, but this one does. Next, we need to cycle out this. Oops. Escape character to bring those in place. We're going to do it there, there, and here. That'll get us that line, and this particular line, that we're going to do something with that. So we're going to leave that function there. We want to do the back function, and we're going to figure out what we can do with that. But that's not our first priority here yet. So we're going to put form ID as the name, which is going to be right there. And also the form ID is going to be here because it is going to be related to a random string if there isn't something already set, and it's going to automatically work. So that takes care of that piece, and next we have a title. We're going to put that right where this is at. That'll be the title of our line. Another escape character there, and that will be the new format of the item that we're going to be working with. Now by doing that, we're going to do that design, and let's see how far we get, because I have a feeling it's going to leave other items open because we haven't taught it how to look for this and close them yet. So let's go in here, refresh the page. And Options and settings, 3D store setting. When we click it now, it does have a little different design. It has the name title on top, which is actually this section, and this is actually getting both of them. I can show you that because it's actually stacking them on top of each other. So here's the name back with shopping cart div, the name that we did before. It threw that whole thing in there, which is perfectly fine. And we're going to do something with that. So we'll see what we need to do. Okay, console, let's get back here. It does open the section, and we don't have any way of closing it or anything, but that's fine because we haven't taught it to do anything with it yet. So I'll go communities, options and settings. When I click it again, it closes it. See, it's a toggle item. Okay, the other part is we have, okay, now that I have that design in place, one of the things about it is we have a bunch of different pieces here. I'm trying to think of the best way to determine which menu it needs to go back to. I may need to add another part of the feature just so that if you click the back button, you know which menu it's in that it came from. Actually, I do state that. Let me think about this a second. When I add a new item, one of the form fields that I'm putting in there is that, but it's on the menu item, not the box that I created. Okay. Just trying to see if there's an easy way that I can actually pull these and make it go back dynamically so we don't have to add any extra functionality or any extra values into the array. We'll play around with back after we get everything else working, but that has potential because we already know it's from community options here, so that could be our key for where it goes back to. So it goes out to this, but then it goes back to that particular item. Do I just add one more field here? I may do that. We'll take a look. Let's get through that one, but okay, so for each one of these items, one of the things I can do is in my class admin, I actually load up a bunch of items, a bunch of things. I'm coming in here and I'm saying these are all the submenu items, and the thing about it is that's preloading the submenus. I can actually preload or add all these form items as a div. I'm not going to do that just yet. Trying to keep track, trying to do this one piece at a time so I don't get too far ahead of myself or lose anybody. But, okay, so using this design that we came up with here, what I'm going to do, that's the wrong one, or is it? That is it the submenu items? Menu forms, admin forms. I think it's just admin forms, yeah. Oh, submenu items, but these are admin forms. Okay, I got that. Okay, one of the things that happens is when you click on one of these links is it clears all of the other values so that you're looking at just the one item. So let's take care of that piece first. And we're going to do that by when we click on an item, okay, when we create this submenu, we are telling it right here to do this function, find in files. Okay, there it is. That's the one I want. Open submenu item. And notice what it's doing is it is using this admin menu div and Okay, class name, admin menu div. And that should, oh, admin menu form. Are they different? Are they the same? And then opening the item. So we're teaching it to open the item, but what we didn't do was we did not tell it by this other type of menu item. They're different enough. I know. I'm trying not to create too many different areas here that it has to do, but in this particular case, admin menu form is a different layout than the other ones. So I'm going to tell it to hide each one of these. And then when it's done, it's going to open up the one that we want. So now we should be able to collapse everything else. When I select a different menu item, this should disappear. And we're going to test that theory right here. Open this. We're going to open that setting, and notice it opened, everything else closed. Then if I go back, it did not, because I didn't run that function. If I do this, oh, now everything's closed. Okay, fine. What's the difference? Let's find out. I think it's just some layout stuff, so let's find out what the difference is between this one, admin menu div in our style sheet, and admin menu form. It looks like the background color. That's it. Well then, when I run this, okay. So submenu divs is that, and I run through it and I'm telling it if the ID is not equal to the ID that I'm pushing in right now, that's fine. If it's not the one that I'm looking for right now, then hide it. So, oh, so basically it didn't know what I was looking for. But that's not this forms. It shouldn't have affected that. It should have been able to do that. Okay, and then it does this show thing. Oh, let's find out what it's doing. It should never hide everything, so that shouldn't have been the case. Oh, maybe it was the back button when I pushed it that caused different results. That's very possible. So if I go to options and settings, let's first see community information, and I go back there, everything seems to be working fine. I go back again and it takes me here. So everything works fine for that section. Oh, and then I clicked it again and it killed it. Okay, well, this is the section we just added, so I'm sure that broke it. Let's see what's going on. Why would it be looking at both pieces there? Let's just make sure those same steps didn't break the first one. If it doesn't break the first one, then we got a chance for it not breaking the second one. So let's get that figured out first. If I go here, 3D information, and I go back again, and I go there. See, this is all working now. Huh. Oh, because it did that. Oh, Okay, so it did this and hit everything, but it didn't need to. Let's find out. Okay, let's get the caps lock off here. Okay, and we have, I'm going to look at the ID. And we're going to find out what ID it hits every time we click that. That should take care of a couple of things here for us. Just tracking it down. So how is everybody on this Friday morning? Okay. Okay, so if I say that, it didn't run the function. If I say this one, it does. If I click back, it does not. If I click communities, it does. Options. So it's only doing it some of the time. Okay, communities, options. But when it runs that function, I'm not telling it to hide that right now. Okay, just out of curiosity, let's take this and put it in as the background on our menu item. There's a different function, and that's what I'm running into. Is there's two different functions, but I'm trying to merge them into one. That will fix one issue with it. But for here, instead of menu form, I'm going to do this. And we're going to see if it now participates as part of the main divs. Just want to see what it does. And options and settings, we have 3D storage settings. Okay, it opened it up and notice it has a background. I may kill the background altogether, but we'll decide on that. I don't think it needs that personally. But then when I go back, it's still here. Community kills it. Yeah, see, the background is this section right here. So that is different. That's only being used when I do this. That's the only time it's being used, or this. That's when I'm using this function. I'm using the wrong function. What I need to do is we're going to first put that back to form. And in our code, we're going to look for, I'm going to keep this one out here because this is what we want to add. So I'm going to take that out of here. And I'm running the wrong function. What I need to run is there's a function for where is it? It would be I can find this. We will search for find all. And there's one that increments it and checks them. So it's going to be in the admin, not PHP, but admin JavaScript file, which is here. Right here. That's what I'm looking for. This section right here, admin after load screen. No, that's not it. Why does it have that function there? Oh, okay, that's if I go automate it to load a screen. these particular pieces, it is toggle menu level. It's by a section name. That's not it. See all these numbers? I used them when I first did this, and now I don't even use those particular numbering scheme things anymore. Is it in common, really? No, it shouldn't be in common anyway. It's a admin menu item. Oh, that tells me what menu item I'm dealing with. That's going to be different if I change that. That's fine. Leave them numbered. Okay, we will get there. It's not there. Is the section name thing that I'm doing here? Let's find out. Okay, let's see what that does, and let me just double check. I want to make sure I'm not breaking something to fix something else. Okay, so we have communities section name, and these have nothing to do with it, so we're going to find out what it does have. Oh, I clicked the wrong thing. Didn't mean to. Okay, so when I click on, for example, options and settings, I am getting admin menu selected, options and settings. Okay, I know where it is. That's where the function is that I'm looking for. I want admin menu item selected. And let's get to that. Here it is. Now, what happens is when we change this, the first step on most of these items is hide admin menu, and then it tells it which one to open. So hide admin menu is the key to what I'm looking for right now. That would be the one. These are all the Okay, fine. Hide admin menu. Put an equal sign after it, then we find the function. Okay, so this is the one I'm going to change. Currently, it runs it that direction, and I'm going to tell it to do this at the moment, and we're gonna see if we can't get it to close all those menu divs without this particular function. That's what I was searching for earlier. I must have missed the characters and I had an extra character in there or something. Let's see, for this piece, subdivs, ID. I don't need the ID. Well, I do. There is no piece here, so we're just going to do that, which will clear everything with that particular class. Let's see if that takes care of the problem we were looking at. Okay. Okay, let's see what we have here. If I open this one, here it is. Okay, it didn't close anything else, but that one wasn't related to it. This particular one closed it, which is a good sign. If I go back and back, I'll worry about where they go back to. But let's see, 3D thing. Okay. Edit community. My 3D community, edit community. This all seems to be working okay. Options and settings. And community gravity, that one goes back to the wrong place. I gotta work on that. Okay, landscape and scenes, that's all working. Okay, looks like that's where I want it to be, and that's the function that automatically closes out all these different items. And it appears that as I move around, these items are still clearing as they're supposed to. Options and settings, because I can go to the different settings and back out of them. They are clearing the menu options as I go. So it looks like, okay, so it looks like I've caught them all with that extra thing. Okay, so that function, changing that, does fix the problem here. I'm going to get rid of this piece of it. Now, since this function does clear all of the items as expected, now we can go to okay, fine. Let's go back to this item here, find next, and admin item menu selected. Depending on what we ran, that item may or may not clear. Depends what they've clicked. I didn't default do it for everything because some of them just open a full page item opposed to if they're going to clear this section here. So I have some that do a confirmation box and you don't want to clear the menu. So it's only certain things that clear the menu, but those are on those pages that need to run those items. Okay, with this, so basically open menu item selected. Is that what I'm running? Let me double check. When I do this and I click on an item, I have the wrong function running because I do not, whoops, I'm going to the wrong place, sorry. Let's leave that where it is. Let's go to this one. When I run this function, I'm telling it to, oh, I was in the right place. When I add the menu item, which is right here, I'm telling it open submenu item form. That one is not correct. I need that to actually say, what do we want it to do? We want it to get the submenu of the item that we're currently loading. So let's take, but I need it to toggle admin open form. We're going to create a new one, admin open submenu form. And this one, here we go. We're going to create this function because I know exactly what it needs to do. We're just going to open up the one other item after we've told it to close everything else. That should take care of the piece that we need it to do. Just setting up the structure of a function right now, and then we're going to name it. Here we go. Now we're on a roll. Copy that. Go to here. That's the name of the function, and it's going to be object, and if object is not null, you always have to check because this is a dynamic piece. You never know if something's causing it not to be there. if object.id is not undefined. And finally, when we do this, we are going to close. We're going to close the menu with this. And then we are going to tell it to show WalkTheWeb.show, and it'll be this name, object ID, plus div. And that's only if that exists, so let's go one more level. If dget, and it's going to be this name, is not equal null, then we want it to open up this. We actually want it to toggle. Do we need it to clear everything else? Yes. Yeah, we're going to have it open because you're only clicking on the menu item when you actually want it open, so that should do it. And let's test out that process now. Okay, so we have option settings. We're going to open this, which opens our particular item. If I back up, okay, we're back to here. That's all good. That's the default setting if it doesn't go anywhere else. But options and settings, and it does work because we do open this and we're clearing everything else out of the way. 3D Store settings, connect 3D Store. That's just what the option says inside of it. I haven't added any other buttons or any other things to close it out or do anything with it yet. But that's all good because we are getting to the place that I need it to be. Now we can go into here and we need it to actually load up some more stuff. So we're gonna, that's where that here it is coming from. And we're gonna tell it to create a couple different items in here. You know what? I'm going to take a 5-minute break, refill my glass, and I will be right back. So, back in 5 minutes. Okay, I'm back, and now you can hear me. No. Okay, so jumping right in. The next thing we need to do is we need to create a scene here. We need it when it loads up this page to actually give us a list of our, what am I doing? Our stores. So I can get the list of stores, but it needs to come from, let's see, first of all, did I make any changes to that file? No, I didn't. That wasn't the place I needed. The admin one I did make a change to. Okay, I'm just tracking pages that I make changes to so I can update different code. Okay, this one I did not make any changes to. We're good there. Okay, so the next thing I'm doing here is I need to go into the shopping cart, and we're going to actually tell it to run a function that will pre-populate the drop-down list, because we need to be able to select which item we're working with. So let's look. We have 3D stores, we have 3D shopping. Here's our functions for 3D shopping. And in here, I actually tell it already to go get a list of the stores. So we have kind of the structure in place. I'm going to do this one, copy that, and we're going to create another one just like it, get stores, drop down. I just want to make it easier that way. Or I could, yeah, drop down's fine. And we will put that there. Okay, so it goes and gets our stores, because we know this is the function to get our stores. And when it gets them, the next thing we need to do is we're going to pre-populate the list of items. I don't want to kill this just yet, because I do have a nice clean list of what they do. Okay, so what we have here is a failure to communicate. No. Oh, list stores. It's not going to be list stores. That's not going to be it. Okay, if I come over here and find option dot value. I know I've done this like about 6 times, so I'm just looking for where I've used this functionality, which is right here. The first thing I'm going to do is, see, that's why I double checked. Because if I come in here, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clear the current dropdown, which is called oh, since I just went here, let's get this name of this function we just added. It's get stores dropdown. That's going to preload our list. And should we be passing in a value? We'll see about that one. We'll see. We haven't told it to select one or save one yet, so we don't have that piece in place yet. But for now, I can say get store dropdown. We're going to put that right here. And it is, what's the name of my, it's been a little while since I've done this one. WTW shopping. So WTW shopping.this here. That should give me that particular dropdown and run this function. And from here, what we're going to do is the first piece of it is we're going to first go down here in this file and get our setup, which is this one. There's our drop-down list. I'm going to take that name and we are going to place it right there. Now what that does is it's going to clear the drop-down list, and then little by little we are going to repopulate the list based on this. Just copying over the format will get the actual values in place here, but I want to make sure that we are doing exactly this. The text is, it's not decoded, is it? Okay, we'll worry about that part later on. Store name is this item right here. Oh, it's actually A to B. It is with that extra value. See, that's why I'm checking this, because then we don't have to worry about decoding because we set them all as a 64-bit or base 64 number. Okay, so that's the text, and the value will be the store ID, store URL, store ID, just like here. So we put that right here, and that's the name of our drop-down list, and we add the option. Okay, on top of that, we are going to do this one more time at the very beginning after we've cleared it, and this is going to be a blank function, so we are going to put we'll call it select store, and the value for this item is going to be blank because we don't want it to do anything unless we actually have a value added in. And then connect store, add that option. Then we're adding more options in here. Perfect. Actually, option, because I want to var the option inside the tags, I'm going to do as option 0, which is no option. We'll do it that way. That creates it. This creates the other items after it, and now we have a drop down with items in it. Let's open up the page and double check that. Okay, going in, reload the page. Okay, options and settings and 3D store setting. Notice store, we got our basic item, but it did not give us the other items, so let's find out what that was all about. I is not defined. Oh, that's my problem here. Here I did, I didn't grab everything I should have. I did the get JSON function z response, but I need, after that, I need it to do these lines all the way to there. Okay. And once we have those, then I can here, there. Okay, that'll give us the I value that we're looking for. We'll play around with the format here because the connect store part, that's not the right piece. It's not so bright in my face, the background. Notice how on the page I also added when we type in the text, it actually shows you on the page above my video. You can actually see it on your video now. So put it in there so that it's part of the recording of what was said and everything too, because I comment on so many things that are said in the chat that it just made sense to show the chat on the actual recording. Okay, so what do we have here? Options and settings, 3D store settings, and we have our two options in there. We'll play around with the format because this is not the way I want it to look at all. When I go into admin menu PHP, nope, not the right one. When I open the admin menu here, the format is menu header does that, but then any other item I need I use, trying to see what class I use or something for line items. Just want to make them all consistent. And many of these are not on this particular page. Here it is. It's an H2 that I use. Okay, so I'm going to copy that to the page here. We're going to change that first menu item listing to this, and that will, okay, so we have a style on that page. We have Connect 3D Store, and I'm going to pull that off of there and put it right here. Yeah, it's a real balance of the different colors. What I run into is I'll get one color looking really good, and then I'll find something else that can't be set, and that's usually where I've run into trouble, where I have to make something else work or whatever, is because of those sections. Select, go there. We don't need that div after it anymore because it's not in that div. Actually, menu head. Let me back up a couple steps. I just deleted the wrong one. Okay, indent stays, that stays, this header leaves. There we go. And I think the space is fine. Let's see how that did it. Okay, let's see where we are. Yeah, the other, room lighting definitely is a factor. I've got a doorway next to me, and every time I open the door, it seems to be bright sunlight comes in. Next thing you know, my face turns red. So counterbalances or something, or adjusts itself with the camera. So that kind of does it a little bit. The other piece that, okay, I can show you this. This drives me nuts is this screen right here. If I go to any other settings, because it does have preferences, and you can tell it, oh, fonts and colors. So you decide, I want high contrast. And when I do, okay, that's all they did was change that bar right there to high contrast. Everything else gets picked up from the desktop. Well, if you choose the desktop to be anything else, what happens is every other line ends up being white font on white and black font on black down here. So I can't read the different items. So the only way I can do the background or Windows actual changes is when they handle doing this piece. According to all the blogs, first they went through a whole denial series where, oh no, it doesn't do that, everything's fine. But then when people started showing them screenshots, yeah, I see what you're talking about. And they still, they're blaming MySQL on it. MySQL says, okay, we fixed it in this version, but yet it's not the version that this automatically wants to update. So I believe it's not a release version, it's a beta version, which I don't mind using beta versions and stuff. It's just that until they release it as an item, it's not as easy to set up. I mean, I can go check for updates here, and what I end up with is, first of all, I have 6.3.5. 6.3.9 fixes the color issue. And when I check for updates, it says, oh, you're up to date. So until they trigger the update to happen automatically, little leery of it, because I don't know what else they've done. Until I go through, read all the options, and see what actually are included in the update, then I can actually commit to it or not. I do the same thing with Babylon. Babylon, I trust them quite a bit because they're the core behind our product, and when they have something new out there that I want to use, I trust it and I jump right in. So, okay, options and settings, 3D store settings, and now we have the proper little bit of spacing between it. This also looks a little better than what it did before. So we have Connect 3D Store. We can set our 3D store. If I pick one, I haven't decided what to tell it what to do, so I have to create a button and tell it, when I click that button, go ahead and save my setting. Okay, that's next. Down here, we're going to create another line on the form. And this one's going to be, I like, just for, I don't have to do this /r/n. That actually only affects when you view the code in the source view. Otherwise, it doesn't do anything for the end user seeing it. But since I'm writing this for developers to be able to see it, I want to make sure that they can actually see the line breaks if they're viewing the code and checking it out at that level. Okay, so let's see, what do we got? Okay, the next line I'm going to put in here is we need to have some type of thing that basically says save this setting. Actually, that first line, I know, I just called it select store. I'm going to say, I think I'm going to change that to because it's connect store is the menu item that we're getting, so I'm going to say not connected. Because if you're not connected, then it doesn't have to do anything about getting the information or stuff. So it's just a play on words, but it's kind of important the way we do it. The next thing is we have a cancel button. We have there's some submit buttons here. I just want to see green button, submit button. This line right here is a typical button that we're using. So I'm going to copy that. And notice, okay, see, this is where the colors get into play. It highlighted it with a background of blue, which basically all but knocked out some of the characters. So unless they're brighter than that, I can't see them. But yet if I make the blue lighter, I can't detect which things I'm selecting. If I go with a light color, it doesn't work with the yellow. It's such a balance of colors. So trying to make sure that I can see which one I've selected, but at the same time read the line very well, it kind of washes it out. So I'll probably still be playing around with some of these color selections and make sure that they're high contrast and stuff. Yeah, it's not perfect yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So in here, I am going to add this line. We're going to tell it what to do, which is add menu item selected. That's not where it's going to be. We'll give it a function, create our own function for it. We're going to call this, get rid of that section, and we don't need any underline. Okay, so we're going to call it save. Simple. Okay, and we just have to escape the characters here. And then the name of this item, shopping, save, what am I saving? Connection. Save connection, or connect store. Okay, save connect store, that will be that item. I don't know if I need anything after that yet. Let's get rid of that line. And when I click this item, we're going to tell it what to do on the code behind. In this case, that's edit store, that's get stores, cancel save store, delete store. Here's add store. It's going to be closest to this add store function, but I'm just going to put it right here. We want to create a new item, a new function. This particular one is going to be save connect store. That way it is the exact same name that I expected in my code when I did this. Okay, I don't need that right now, but when I go here, I will put that here. That's the function I'm going to run. And it's also WTW shopping. That's the name of the plugin. Okay, so that's going to get me to this function right here. And let's just check that along the way. The more we check it along the way, less errors we have to track down, or less distance we have to look to track down things. Okay, put the word saving. We're going to spit that out on the screen when you click that button. Bum, ba-dum, ba-dum, bum. That's why we check things along the way. What didn't it like? Save, connect, store, shopping, prototype, shopping. That's all good. What did I miss over here? Oh, yep, I missed one more. It doesn't like those. Okay, if you're new to programming or anything like that, notice that I am doing a quote here, and I'm setting the value of this variable right here. When I put double quotes around it, what happens is if I use a double quote in the center, for example here, notice how it changes colors? It thinks that's the end of the variable. And so this stuff, it doesn't know what to do with it because it goes, hey, this is extra characters after you've already quoted what your variable is being set to. So what we do is we can do one of two things. One of them is if I use single quotes here inside there, then the double quotes become the master, the parent kind of quoting, and then single quotes can still fire off a function underneath it. But if I need to use a single quote in the function, then I still have to put double quotes around it to make it work. So what they do is they give you a backslash, which is called an escape character, that tells it this is a string value that I'm creating, it's being set as a variable, and ignore the next character that we type. So then this double quote gets ignored, and it takes it all the way to the end of the sentence. That's why when you see these lines, there's all these single or backslashes in here, yet when it prints it out on the page and we actually look at the item it created, there's no backslash around it. It's only an escape character when you're setting the variable. It actually doesn't show it on the screen when it uses it. Okay, so now we click the store. Notice we have the save button. That's all good. And if I set this to something and I click save, and it goes to our function. Okay, so we made it that far. The next thing is I'm going to put in a line break just so that our line isn't right on top of the save button. Okay, we've gotten it that far. Now the next part is we need to design a function that's going to tell it to grab the value from here, put it into our code behind, and let it save the value. To do that, we're going to use something very similar to what we did up here, which is we create this request and then we send it to our code behind there. And finally, we close this function afterwards and tell it what to do next. In this case, I want the store ID, and the other part that I'm going to want to grab is I need to know if it was I need to know if it's a community, building, or thing that I'm working with. Community ID, building ID, or thing ID. Okay, and those values are actually available all throughout everything we're doing here, and they are just as easy as naming the name exactly what we said before. Building ID and community ID. Okay, that passes those values into our request. I'm going to say Z request even though I didn't do it the last time, just because we need to be a little more persistent about making sure we name things internally on functions with a Z. Okay, so I'm going to save 4 lines here, and then I'm going to save connect store. And that's going to be the button that we're clicking on the other side. Here we're going to do thing ID. We'll make sure these values are in our form. Building ID, community ID, community ID, and then we have store ID. So store ID is set there. And now we need community ID, building ID. And it's only going to be one of them because you're only editing one of these items at a time. So if you're working on this stuff, then basically it's only going to pull through the one that you're doing at the time. Okay. Okay, so that passes it back to this shopping stores page. And then finally, after it saves it, what we're going to do is we're actually going to close the menu items so that the second you click it, it goes, we're good, closes it off, and you're ready to move on in your menu. The way that we can do that is actually pretty easy is in here, when the menu item gets called, it's the same thing as if you click the back button. So I'm going to tell it this function right here, which is going to just basically say, hey, we didn't find anything in there specific to this, so close it out and move on. And that's exactly what it's going to do. It's going to give us the main menu back afterwards. So by doing that, we will put this in our JavaScript right there. And this is going to be, I'm actually going to put null. I'm actually going to pass a null. And that should catch it. It should know that that value doesn't exist. Well, let's see. Let's call it, you know what? I'm not going to pass null. I'm going to pass the name of this button right here as an object. And that will give us a valid object when it gets there, and it'll know that was the button that was pressed. So that kind of just tricks it into knowing that's what it's going to be. Goes through here, does what it needs to, closes out all the other menu items, and opens up the basic one. But that also helps it because if I ever change what it's going to do next, wait a minute, save connect store? Yeah, we're good. We could always use that name to tell it what to do next, but we're good on this case. Okay, the next piece in this plugin is we need to go to our iframes page, and we need to make sure we have the values that we need. We have store ID, but we do not have building, community, or thing. So we're going to add, I'll put them down here at the bottom, 3 different items. Community ID and building ID, and then thing ID. And next, I'm going to create a new button. This particular one is going to be the name that we used here, which is Save Connect Store. Add that in here and there, and once again at the end here. Then what's going to happen is that's going to cause it to trigger something up here. We're going to say case and give it this name that we just named the button, and that's going to process it when it submits it. We'll write that function in just a second. The other part is it can have a repeat place that it goes back to afterwards. In this case, I do not need any particular stuff to run afterwards, because once it's set, and basically the site will use it. Let me think. I should be able to, I may reserve the right to add something here later. The reason is because what I could end up adding is a function that allows it to refresh the stored pieces that are already in the site. this particular thing connects the 3D store to a WooCommerce store. It is the conduit between the two items. So basically, by doing this, when I change the store, I may need to refresh everything on the page so that it knows here's the new pieces. Go ahead and reload them and try to load products in the second you make a change, or you tell it, hey, use this store for those products. So I'm expecting that this right here will probably need to run a function. And you know something? I believe I already have that function written. We're going to wait just yet because I have a feeling... You know what? I'm going to go look for it real quick. There's a bunch of functions here. I'm going to be pulling those and moving them to this store product instead of in the common, because right now a lot of these are in the common folder, and they are technically store-specific items. So I'm potentially going to move them all over to here. Okay, so let me see. Shopping 3D store. If I go to Prime Common, and in here, I'm just going to say shopping first. I just want to see. Nope. Okay, so it is store. Okay, web store. No. Store products, store categories. These are the kind of items that I'm looking for. No, I don't need that. Let's get away from this local DB stuff. I was running some local DBs when I was testing different items, trying to speed them up. Let's see. How about search store? Nope. Search products. Get product. There we go. Product, get product. Okay, here we are. Now I'm looking for the things that I need to do. Okay, so it's product show cart. It's product add to cart. Product read more. Every one of these are going to be moved to our items. There's also this function. I knew I kept them all together. Load product display. Set product. Set product goes through, uses those connections that we just defined, and actually does all these pieces with it and loads up the product display. Since we're moving all these items right now to our other functions, every one of these pieces are going to need to move to our other areas. We're going to move it into the script at some point here because it could work differently if we had a different store type. But it's load categories. It's every one of these. Scroll the categories. Clear for search results. And product load search results. Get store info. Every one of these are part of this function. Yeah, so we're going to be doing some stuff with this, moving these individually. I don't want to just grab them all in one chunk yet because we have a lot of work to do to move them. I want to make sure that every reference to them are moved or not, depending where they need to come from. So this is where we're going to pull the function. Okay, so let's get back on track here. We're going to go in the shopping cart. That's going to be added here to tell it to reload the products with that new information that we know. But that's not all connected yet, so we'll get to that piece. In here, what we're going to set is I'm going to run a function, and we're going to create a new one. It's going to be in our shopping stores piece, and we're going to say save connect store, just to be persistent with the naming scheme. And then here we're going to need community, building, and thing. So we'll put those in place. Thing, building, and we're going to put this one as community. Okay, that puts them in here. Next, what I need to do is create this function in our class, which is right here. Okay, common, we haven't moved those items, but I'm going to leave them right where they are. Okay, save store, and in this case, we are going to go right here, public function, and it's going to be called this, and we'll do some more stuff with that. First, get rid of some of this naming. We're going to use zStore. So we have Z community ID and Z building ID, and finally Z thing ID. Oops, I didn't highlight that. There we go. Z thing ID, and that will start the function. We're going to do the exact same thing as that, and then we're going to do this ending, which tells it we're going to send back success. If it happens, we'll set somewhere in here, we're going to set it true if it happens. And then I want save connect store to be right there. So if we get an error, that'll tell us exactly which page the error comes from. And now finally, first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure you have access. I haven't checked any access. Okay, we'll come back and do the security part last. That's perfectly fine. Oh, here we are. Actually, this is the one I want to do. You can only change this if you're a developer architect. That's kind of the roles that I want to be able to set this store up under. Okay, and then under that, we're going to first check to see if this community or building or thing, whichever one we have, we're going to check to see if it already exists in the settings. The thing is, we haven't created this table yet. So let's go over here. And in this part, shopping stores, and then we're going to need another piece, and it's going to be shopping. We're going to create another table. I'm going to open this table up only because we're going to use some things from it afterwards, but we're going to open another table. This particular one is going to be oops, sorry, I didn't mean to open that. We're going to need a new table, so create table. This is going to be WTW underscore. You don't have to worry about the naming convention because we're going to overwrite this when we actually create it in the plugin anyway. Shopping, and then it's going to be connect. I'm going to say connect stores. That's as consistent as we can to the other piece that we did. And then we'll say connect ID. We're going to make that just like we do on everything else, we're going to call it a varchar 16. That will make it and unique. Then we're going to go through a couple things. We need store ID. And that's the reason I put that here is store ID is a varchar 16 also. And that one is not going to be allow nulls. Then we're going to put in community ID. We're going to do building ID, and we're going to do store our thing ID. Each one of those 16. we're going to have to do something in the logic to make sure that each one of these, one of them has to be set, but only one of them. Okay, 16, each one of these. If it doesn't get passed, it's going to be blank. And then the reason I open this up is because we're going to do the same thing with our create date and update dates. I'm going to copy those rows and paste them right here, which gives us the rest of our table design. And okay, that should take care of that. Connect ID is our primary key that we're using, and I'm going to say apply. Now we have the table. We're going to come back and add the table afterwards, but for now, in here, the first thing we need to do is, just like we did before, we need to see if this particular one exists. In this case, yeah, okay, fine. We'll write it out. Okay, so, Z results, sorry. Trying to keep my standard in place. And then we have this, here we go. And in here, so we're gonna do select everything from, actually all I need is the connect ID. Connect ID from, I like doing it on a second line, from our, we're going to use the name, which is going to be this. Connect stores, where this will be where community ID equals, and we'll pass the community ID, and building ID equals the building ID, and thing ID equals the thing ID. Limit 1, and we're also going to do and deleted equals, well, actually I'm not going to do deleted equals 0. If it's deleted, we're going to recover it. If it isn't deleted, then it's good to go anyway. We're going to do it that way. Okay, so we're looking for this particular item. Let's get this in here, and we have Z. We're going to see if this community already has something set to it. Each one's only going to allow one particular thing to be set, so we're not worried about if it's multiple items or anything. We're not going to have it where one item can have a building and a store. I mean, two different buildings or two different stores in the same building. You can have a thing within a store and have the thing as a different store. Then you can put multiple things inside a building. So you can accomplish that. You just can't set the building itself as multiple stores. So each one item that you're doing, you're connecting it to a particular thing, and that's going to tell it where to go to get its products. Okay, then for here, we're going to say, before that even begins that, we're going to go connect ID equals blank, and that's a Z connect ID. And then here, for each Z results as 0. I know if you didn't see me spell that as I said it, you'd think I typed a 0. 0. Okay. If it finds something, then we're going to set this equal to 0, and that's going to be connect ID. Then, if Z connect ID is not empty, and is set, then That's going to be one thing, else we're going to do something else with it. And notice, based on those two items, this is going to be, actually we're fine. It's going to know it's success either way. I don't need to type that twice. Then in here, based on that, we're going to, if it's not empty, it means it already found a record. So this particular case is going to be an update statement. Okay, so update, and it's going to be the same table. Set store ID. Yeah. Equals store ID, where connect ID equals connect ID. And even though it's a primary key, my old habit against SQL injection is to make sure that limit 1, it minimizes damage if somebody does find a way to hack something and try to insert SQL injection into here or something. It limits it to 1 record because anything after the blank is only limiting 1. It tries. We'll just say it tries. We'll do some more scrubbing and make sure that doesn't happen later, but this is also what we're doing at this point. That particular query will update the item. The other thing we're going to do is, in case it was deleted, first of all, we're also update date equals now, and update user ID equals, and this one will be, I don't know, do I put spaces around those or not? No, I don't. Okay, I don't want to put spaces where I don't use them, and I'd like to be consistent. So, okay, and user update, this ID equals, we're going to insert that in there. Deleted date, there's an extra D in there, equals null. Just in case it was deleted, we're going to recover it. Delete user ID equals blank, and deleted equals 0. That recovers that. User ID here, I need to put in a user ID, and I already know I did it right here. So we'll copy and paste that into user ID there. And then we're going to need an insert statement. And we'll put that like that. Okay, insert into, and same table. Okay, insert into that table, and our fields are store ID, community ID, building ID, and thing ID. And we don't have to worry about the other fields. They're actually, let's put in create date, create user ID, update date, and update user ID. Okay, that'll be values, and what I like to do is just copy this over here just so that we have the right number of everything happening. Okay, that clears out that statement, and here we go. This, that. Okay. Oops. And I totally messed up that one. That's which one we want. Okay, put that there, there, there. This is going to be now. So is that one. And then our create user ID, we'll copy and paste into place here in a second. This is going to be this, that. Copy that. There and there and there. Okay. Then user ID is this guy. There and there. Okay, that will put this in place, but notice we did not have a store ID. We have a store ID. Oh, that was the other part. We need connect ID. And that's going to be right. It's going to be right here, Z connect ID. And when this happens, we're going to need to set one. So Z connect ID equals, then we're in WTW plugins, and get random string 16,1 for the type, and that'll give us a new unique value. We put it into this value, which is our connect piece. It goes in here and it inserts it into the table. Okay, so that takes it through that process. One more check I want to do is right before we do this whole thing, I want to make sure that we want to make sure that this, that, and that, one of them isn't empty. So if not empty, or let me just copy that. And this is going to be wrapped around this whole function because I only want it to work if they actually have a community or building or thing set. If you're just joining us, we're creating, we're working on a plugin, and we're just working on the different details here. What it is I've created a CMS that allows us to do like WordPress does for traditional websites. WalkTheWeb does it for games. So you can create your little game components, your plugins. You can do freemium, so you can make some money in it. But no matter what, you can actually take them in here and plug them right into a system that is already running 3D. It already runs multiplayer and all the base. And if you haven't noticed, we dropped it out there open source at the end of September. So you can download the code I'm working on. I continuously work on it every day, and you'll see me here most days. But just want to let you know that it exists, and you can also download the code. If you follow me, that's great, because if you ever need anything, anybody who follows me, and if I friend you, then basically you guys get the highest priority over anybody else if you have a need or a fix or something else to make something work for your plugins. But yeah, welcome aboard. Okay, so back to this, what we have. Okay, I'm just making sure that one of these has a value because we don't want to run the process and then not have a community building or thing. Okay, so that should take it to there. Now I should be able to test this, and in this particular table, let me just refresh those, and we have shopping connect stores right here. I'm going to open up that table. It's blank, of course, because we just created it. Refresh this page. I should make sure that the store ID is also not blank. Yeah, okay, it's fine. Okay, we have options and settings, and this is a building, or community, I'm sorry. Store settings, it's not connected. We set it to that, we click save, goes back to here. So far, so good. Check that, and it did make it. Okay, let's find out why. We're going to test a few things. First, I want to find out, did it get this far? And we're going to see how far, we're going to check out where it made it to. And we're going to echo some things onto the screen. I would really be surprised more if I actually made these things work first try. It's more likely there'll be an error, and then after a couple little tweaks you fix it, and then everything works. So just saying, that's more the likelihood than not. The other place, there is one more place we can check for an error and see if there's anything that actually happened in place. But the first thing is I want to check and see if this made it this far. It's just going to be a nice piece to have here, knowing that it made the round trip this far. The other piece is I can double check. We have an error log in here. And okay, shopping functions, save connect store, undefined variable, WTW iframe. Okay, it was taken from iframes that I took this other function from. It's the plugins. There's my issue right there, and we're already going to fix it. And I think we did it on the next one too. No wonder I picked it up from there. I have delete store happening from iframes. Actually, that is the correct one. Ah, that's what's wrong. It's not the plugins class that I need. Actually, it's both. Why is that one calling iframes? This is iframes. Okay, this delete store wouldn't have worked either because we never told it to use the iframes class, which we do and can inherit. But that would definitely, you know what, I don't even need it. Is user enroll. Let's check that and double check and see if we've already added that to the plugins class. If we did add it to the plugins class, then we're good to go. Otherwise, I can extend it to the plugins class because that's going to be something people are going to want to use. I try to just extend these items instead of plugins class is user enroll. It is part of the plugins class. Yay, that's even better. Okay, so then if I just take this and take these items out here, okay, then I don't need that in either one of these areas. Okay, that will save us on both of those errors. I didn't even hit the other one yet. Bless you. But over here, I didn't test that. Is adding store settings. I believe you should be in that same class for that too. Let's put the permissions on that. We will dump this up here and make it a function of this right here. We're not going to let them do it unless that is working. Okay. And, you know, somehow I'm going to just test it again because I believe that was the piece that caused the error. Okay, so objects and settings. We have our 3D store settings. It's not connected. We're going to say set it there and did that. It found our community. Our store is blank. That's fine, because that's what we expected, and did it create, it didn't cause an error, and it created the item. Okay, so we're good to go there. It actually created the item and put it into place. So we made a full round trip on that one, and we're able to get back to our original code here. But just wanted to, just wanted to go ahead and pull it across over there. And you know something, I want to thank Nida J. Relim. Jaden. Ah, I get that name. Nice. Welcome aboard, and thank you for following me. I appreciate it. Okay, and like I said in here, I am doing some different things. That one was a community. Oh, the store ID came up blank. We did not. Oh, okay. I know where that is. Let's make sure we are passing the store ID. Okay, we want to fix that piece before we do anything else. Over here, I told it to read the store ID. That is not correct. That's not where we're reading the store ID. The store ID is actually, we need to come in here and we're going to do wtw get DDL value, which is a nice function I created that makes it real easy to just tell it the name of, in this case, a drop-down list, which notice it is our list right here that we used. We're going to tell it get the value from that, and if I'm not mistaken, did I set a default value on that function? I'm going to find out real quick. If I put an equal sign after it, then I catch my function name. And no, it is just the DLL, and it tells it the value of that particular thing. So get DLL value, and we can do the store ID. Now we should have a store ID, and we're going to double check that. Because, of course, how can you set a store ID if it's coming through blank? We need to know that it found, well, this is also going to test the update process. Can we change one that already exists? We knew we can do the insert statement, so now we're going to come in here. We're going to set it to store 2, save, and there we are. We now have the store ID. And did it update in the database? Yes, we did. Oh, no, we didn't. No, we didn't. Okay, something didn't find that, which we're going to track that down next. Okay, we're getting closer. This, oh, wait, wrong page. Here we are checking for community ID, building ID, and thing ID. When they don't get passed, they're actually a blank value. So this function right here should have found the building community. That should have found a zconnect. Let me do a check right here. And we're going to check the connect value when it tries to run that process. Okay, save that, refresh the page. Okay, and 3D store settings. I'm going to come in here, click on that item, and click save. Community ID is there. Connect ID, it found the connect ID. Did it save it this time? Store ID didn't come through. Okay, but it did find the correct connect ID. So let's find out. Is not empty, and it's set. So that should have gone in here. Update, connect stores. Set store ID equals that. Now plugin user ID. Update date null. No. Okay. Oh, connect ID. There's my problem. Z connect ID. We didn't have that piece in place. And now that should work. Let's find out. Okay, options and settings, store settings. We're going to connect it to that store. Click OK, and everything looks good there. Go in here, and no, we didn't update the store settings still. Why is it not liking that? Undefined constant, connect ID. It didn't refresh. That's all there is to it. It didn't refresh. Connect ID, we don't have just a plain connect ID. Connect ID there. And there's no other just plain connect ID anywhere. That's fine. Okay, it didn't refresh the page. Let me just do it again. We're going to make sure that it gets the latest version. That's all it does. Every once in a while, when you reload it, it will still be cached. Okay, so we're coming in here, store settings, and save. Does that process, and I think, let's see if we got another error. Nope, it didn't add another error. And it didn't update it. Okay, fine. Let's find out what's going on here. Let's take this statement right. Oh, there it is. That's a period and not a comma at the end of that row. That would do it. So refresh one more time. Basically, it crashed on the actual SQL statement. Options and settings, store settings. We're going to set it, save that, and double check this. There we go. Now we have a store ID. Okay, got through that. Next thing, I'm going to delete this item because I want to come in from fresh and make sure, just check the process of writing it in the first time. We're going to make sure that if it's the first time it's being set, it's still there. If just joining us, we're doing 3D browsing. We're doing 3D internet. I created a CMS that works kind of like WordPress does for traditional sites, but this one works for games. And so I'm setting up different hooks so that you can create plugins. You can do freemium. You can give something for free and then charge for extras that you add. But basically, it's going to completely... You're going to be able to run these scenes, and I already have the multiplayer, I have avatars, I have all kinds of cool pieces in place, and you're going to be able to add plugins that drop in extra parts. So thanks for joining me, and here we go. Let's see what else we have. Test store and save that, and I want to make sure that it does what I expected it to, and it does. It has a store set and community. We're good to go. Okay, so that function worked out perfectly. We'll get rid of our little tracking code here. Okay, and now that takes care of it through that part. The next thing we'll be working on is we've got a little bit of stuff to do here. So we're gonna, when you click on this item, now that we have one saved, I don't have it preloading what you've already set. So the next part is going to be preloading that and telling it what it is and showing us this screen with that already selected in place. To do that, we actually have to do a database call. We're going to bring back the data for the store for this particular community, which means we're going to create a page that returns JSON. And then we're going to go ahead and connect that onto here. I'm going to take a little 5-minute break, and then I will be right back. Hello, I'm back. Okay, that was a quick break, and I'm back. I'm back. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is we have this drop down, and when we come back to this page, we know that this particular community already has a setting. So when I open this page, that needs to be set. So to do that, the first thing we're going to do is we need to create a page that fetches that information. And that is going to fall under, we have get store and get stores. That's our list of stores. That's our list of that. I need to create a new one that is going to be similar to this page. So I'm going to copy this page, create a new one, and this particular one is going to be get connect store. That will be the piece we need. Okay, it's going to be W2W 3D shopping all the way to there. It needs to have this long name just so that we don't have any name conflicts. So just wanted to warn you. Okay, so that's the name of this page. We'll save this there. And here we go. On here, first thing we need to do is we are going to pass it the, we don't need to pass it the store ID. I need to pass it three things. I need to pass it the community, building, and thing, because one of them is going to have a value. So let's get those in here. Community ID. Community, and then we're going to do building, ID, and then thing, and do that once again here, thing ID. Okay, so then once we have that, what we're going to bring back is connect store. And we'll put that there and there. And here it's going to be connect stores, which is the name right there, connect stores. And it'll be where we just did this. So instead of typing this again, where community thing. And it's also going to be where deleted equals 0, but we'll give it all the way to there. Okay, come in here. I'm going to make sure we're not messing with that one that I don't need to change. This particular one is going to be like that. And there we go. Oh, I already have a limit one. Okay. And move those over a little bit. Okay, so we're building, our community equals this, building equals this, and thing equals this. And deleted equals 0. So if it's deleted, it's not going to give you the value. Okay, from there, we're going to get our search results, which is only going to be one record, and we're going to find out a couple things. We're going to get a connect ID, which I'm fine if we don't know that. That's fine, because we are using the other thing as the primary key for the most part. And then there's nothing else I really need at this point in time. So I'm going to get rid of the rest of these fields for now. As we add things to this table, then we will add more pieces that it returns. But right now, the biggest key part is the store ID. I need to know which one it's going to do. Before we do that, what I need is when we open up this piece in our JavaScript, we did this get stores drop down, and that creates the drop down, and then following that I need to set the value on the drop down, but that can only happen after these values are here. So what I want to do is I'm going to add another function here, and this particular one is going to be set drop down or something of that nature. Set, we'll call it set, we want it to be set connect store. That way we can go fetch the item, we can go ahead and set it based on what the results are. In this case, we're going to do a JSON call and then something with that at the end of it. So let's put that in place, and we do not need list stores. In fact, we didn't need it here either. That one is not doing the list stores. Okay, that was a piece of extra that isn't needed there. This thing, we're not going to do that. Okay, and from our get connect store function, it is, yes, it is indexed with an I. Okay, I just wanted to double check since we're only bringing back one. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. Consistency, I probably should or shouldn't all the time, but in the meantime, that's where we're at. Okay. Okay, so from here, connect store. The first thing we're going to do is we are actually calling connect shopping, and instead of get stores, we are clicking on this function. First of all, we don't need that. This piece is going to be, actually, let's make sure this function's even going to run, which means right at the end of this right there, we're going to do shopping.this and tell it to run set connect store. That runs this function, and here this is going to be get connect store. And we're going to pass it 3 values. Community ID, oops, equals community ID plus and building ID equals building ID and oops plus and thing ID equals plus thing ID. Okay, since they're global variables, that will grab them and we will get them in here. That returns the value, and once it does, what we're going to do is wtw.setDDL value, and we're going to tell it 2 things. One is the name of this drop-down list, and the second is the value that we want it to do, so that will be z response here, z response that, connect ID. That should get us the item set, and we'll know shortly. Let's give that a shot. Okay, loading back up, and we'll know right away because it's either going to grab us another piece in there or it isn't. And options and 3D store setting, it doesn't say connected. Let's go down a couple paths here, and first of all, just to test it, we're going to test this line. Easiest way is by, I guess we can just type it. It's fine. we're going to come in here and we're going to, by the way, those were set to blank, right? Yes, they are. Okay, so we're going to come in here and we're going to put this here, and we're going to use this community ID. Let's first see if this piece is working. Nope, we don't get anything back, so there's an issue in here. Let's find out. Community ID, then okay. Let's do this the easy way, see if there's an actual error that happened. No, it didn't. Okay, figures. That'd be too easy. Okay, I'm clearing the table because we already fixed those errors that were in there before. Prefix connect stores. Did I spell that all correct? Community ID and building ID is that, and thing ID equals that, and deleted equals 0, limit 1. That shouldn't have an issue. Results, srow, connect ID, and store ID. That shouldn't be a problem. And that's what's being returned. Okay. Oh, hang on. Make sure get connect store. Okay, that was correct. We're hitting the right page. We did not get results, so I am going to check a couple values here and make sure thing ID, building ID, community ID. Okay, we spelled all that right. Community, building, and thing. Those are grabbing the values, and we should be getting this right here. Let's find out. Just for whatever reason, let's test this piece out. First thing we have to do is change this to WTW-W shopping hyphen. I think, did I do that right? No, they're underscores, not hyphens. This one is going to come up blank. This one's going to come up blank. And then for the other piece here, that's the community we have. I'll just working my way through it. Where am I? Here it is. And we're going to pass this community in here. And we got a record back. So what didn't it like here? Let's make sure we have everything that we think. First, I'm going to take care of the header, and I'm also going to kick out what's going to echo back at the end. I need it to connect store. We should be good on those pieces. Okay, so I'm going to just double check and make sure that we're getting our community ID in here. Oh, wait, if store ID is empty. There's the reason. That doesn't belong there. That will definitely kill the process. And I think I'm so confident that that was the issue. We're going to just remark it back in here for a second and see if that doesn't fix everything. Okay, go here, refresh that. Refresh it again. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Okay, fine. I'm going to remark that out, remark the header out, and we're just going to say echo this on the page, just so we know we're doing that, and in case it comes up blank, we'll put that in front of it, and let's see if that comes up. Okay, there's my problem. We are getting... Oh, we're decoding something that wasn't encoded. There we go. That would do it. Second I saw it, I went, that's pretty. And that's what I get for copying and pasting that line of code someplace, huh? Okay, now we should be able to go here, kick that out, and return this. Sometimes you just have to see it for yourself. Once you see it, it becomes obvious. There's our answer back. And if I come in here, watch this, let's see. If I click on options and settings, store settings, it went to a blank. It didn't like that. Okay, let's find out what's wrong with that piece. Let's check the... Oops, sorry. JavaScript right here. Set DDL value. I just want to make sure I'm using the right format of that particular one. Yes, we give it the name of the one we're trying to set, and then we give it the value that you want to set it. Let's make sure we're getting the value. Oh, it's not the connect ID. That's what's wrong. It's the store ID. No wonder it didn't find it. Helps if I use the right one. So refresh that page. Okay. And options and settings, store, and now it sets the store the way it's supposed to. Okay, so now it remembers the current setting and we can set the new setting. Based on this, the next piece I need to do is start dropping over all the different JavaScript. I need to bring over a lot of pieces. I need to, just start bringing over the rest of the store stuff. And then we can start working with the store, connect it up to a physical store, get the pieces in place, and bridge the gap. So let me go ahead and, you know what, we're going to call it a day here. We made it through this whole process. We're able to now connect the 3D stores. We're able to tie it to any particular part. I'll be adding that into the building and the things so that each one of those has that same option in place. And once we've set it, then basically from there, it's going to be a matter of reading it and putting it into a store and everything else. I need to do some setup before we do the next part, so I just don't see any reason to jump right into it here and have you sit there and watch me work on my other screen where you can't see it. So before we go, let me show you a little cool thing I was working on because this is kind of just a quick version of this, but I'm making a clubhouse. WalkTheWeb Club, and this is going to be for developers and graphic artists and anybody who wants to use our product and have some fun. So basically, when you come here, the first thing you see is it's a dome type building. Now that it was inspired by, that place right there was inspired by Snow Crash. So Neil Stephenson's book, Snow Crash, one of the places that they created when they built the internet for the future was they created a dome and they actually jumped in there and were doing a lot of pieces. So what I'm doing is I'm building kind of something that I kind of pictured while I read the book, which is it's a dome place and there were different sections where people could sit. So when I created this, what I did was I tried to make it where we can have a lot of different lounge areas, and we can have a section where people that are graphics artists can hang out, and then we can have another section where programmers hang out, another piece for animators, and we can actually build this up and make it all kinds of cool stuff in here for anybody who wants to be part of this particular building club. It's going to be a place where if you're looking for a developer, you can come here, ask questions. And at the same time, what I want to do, and here's the challenge for everybody, is when you join in this building and everything else, for you to be considered a developer and graphics artist or anything of that nature, my challenge is I want you to actually build something that can be used in this room, and we'll get it added for you. We'll go ahead and put it in here. So the idea is it becomes our place, but you should contribute something to become a member in this developer community area. So the concept is I've thrown down the gauntlet, build something, and we'll add it into this area. You can completely build something in Blender, and we'll drop it in here because, by the way, this building was actually created in Blender in a couple different pieces and then assembled in WalkTheWeb's functionality here and stuff. So basically, I've given you a couple different areas here. We have some things where we can have everything from live video. Babylon has a lot of cool functionality. Blender has a lot of cool functionality. There's animation, everything else. We can already use a lot of that in here. So I'm throwing down the gauntlet. Come on in here, check this place out, and contribute. Add something to it. I don't care how small. It can be a painting on the wall. It could be a picture on the wall. It could be, with a frame on it and everything else. Put your heart into it. Put some effort into it. Because when people walk in this room, they should see something and go, holy crap, that statue or that item right there was made by your name. Fill in the blank. So, do it to impress others. Do it to show people who you are. Do it just as a bit of pride and contribute to this room. And as we go, we'll keep on adding things. We'll resize them. We'll move them around. We'll do things to make sure everybody gets featured and everybody can have a part of it. But the building has begun. I've created the structure, and we'll have to see what we can do about adding more functionality and more items into the building. But for now, everything's in here. There you go. I'm thinking of a bird since I'm a bird fan. Oh, that's really cool. I like the idea. I really like it. But the gauntlet's thrown down, so make sure you follow me if you haven't, and also start working on your items. Connect with me. I'll be on here every single day for the most part, and basically jump in, and if you need help getting it added to this scene, you've created something and you want to get it to me, we'll work through that. But the whole concept is it's going to be our place, and everyone's welcome, but contribute. Okay, so thank you very much, and I appreciate you watching today. Have a great day, and I will catch you again real soon. Thank you.